Welcome to Thoughts Off the Stem. I'm Justin Barone. Today we're smoking OG Kush in the bong, of course, because that's my apparatus of choice when I'm at home. So today I figured I'd talk about the first time I got high. I remember when I watched Half Baked, and I think it's like one of the first couple lines in the movie where he's talking about how some people, first time they got high, they didn't get high. Well, man, he says, I got high, or whatever he said. Man, I got the same thing. I got super fucking high. That's for damn sure. Now, I'll give you a little bit of a lead up before my delving into the cannabis world, I guess. So, growing up, I always played basketball. I was a jock. I was always into sports, never smoked anything, never really drank. None of that stuff. Straight edge, not real good at school, but definitely could handle a basketball, no problem. Anyway, I guess I hit about the age of 17, and I decided that, I was watching all these other dudes in high school at parties, drinking, having a good time. Now, my parents luckily didn't have a problem with me drinking, so when I wanted to, they would supply me with the booze for parties, because at least they knew what I was drinking, where I was at, and when I'd be home kind of thing. So that was always a bonus. But when it came down to getting high, I remember being at a party and these guys just laughing their asses off the whole time, the whole night. They just keep going outside, take a couple puffs, come back in, and they'd be laughing, giggling. Didn't matter what happened. It was hilarious. Anyway, got me thinking, I want to try that. Also, because I didn't really do anything like that, I wanted to know what it was like, and it wasn't a chemical. It wasn't like, ecstasy or anything like that. So I thought, if it's natural, how bad can it be? So I talked to a couple buddies I knew that smoked weed, and they were adamantly against me smoking anything, because they're like, no, you're a sports guy. That's what you do. You do sports. You don't do the weed thing. You don't do this party stuff. No. Well, meanwhile, inside of me was a little party animal waiting to get out, man. I'd been so structured for so long in terms of playing, sports and specifically basketball, that's all I did. When I got home from school, shoot baskets in my driveway and then go do homework and stuff like that. So same thing at school. Once school was done, basketball practice. Then from that basketball practice at school, I'd go to a rep basketball practice after, then get homework done, go to bed, repeat, and do that for years. So I got to a point, I guess, where I decided that it was enough. I wanted to experience some, extracurricular activities, I guess you could say. And I wanted to see what it was like on the other side. So I got to talking to a couple buddies, and I said, hey, look, I want to smoke some weed, but I want to do it around people, obviously that, want to be, or that have my best interests at heart, not people that are just going to, if something bad happens, I end up, on my own in the corner. So me and about, I think it was 6 or 7 buddies, they smoked pretty frequently. So they said, okay, what we'll do is on the weekend, next weekend, we'll get a little bit of weed, and you guys come over to my place. This one friend of ours goes, you guys come over to my place, and we'll smoke. We'll ease you into it. We'll let you see what it's like. His parents weren't home. He had this little entryway that was glass, but it was only 4 feet by maybe 6 feet, so it wasn't very deep. So there was 6 or 7 of us all squished in there, and they give me the rundown of what I'm gonna feel, what it's gonna be like when I first decide, or when I first smoke it, or how long it's gonna take to react, whether it was a creeper or whether it was gonna hit me right off the bat. Anyway, this one I guess was a creeper, and I don't know what kind of weed it was. I don't remember if it was an indica or a sativa. All I knew was that I was a little bit scared, I was super excited, and I really wanted to see what this was going to be like, hoping that everything went okay. Because I didn't know much about weed, but I knew how it affected you physically in terms of blood pressure, heart rate, things like that. I looked into that before I actually did it, because I didn't want to be the guy in the corner having a heart attack and freaking out. So But I didn't know, obviously, how it was going to actually make you feel and what it was going to be like when you felt like that, and, how you were going to react to that feeling. So we sit down. Buddy rolls a 3-paper joint. He starts passing it around. Pass it to the first guy. Takes a couple, 3 puffs. Pass. Next guy. Pass. Next guy, same thing. Then he hands it to me. And I go, okay, so they just do this? And they go, yeah. Let's take a couple hits. Pass. And they're like, all right. The next time it goes around, take a little bit longer hit. But only take 1. They were taking 3 still. But they wanted to ease me. And they were concerned that I had a good trip. Also for my well-being, I guess you could say. But anyway. So, they pass it around, comes back to me, I take 1 big hit. They go, okay, now on the next round, you're out. Just let it sit for a minute. So, the next round comes on, and, I pass it. As soon as I pass it, because I'm looking down, I'm looking at my chest, I'm, pressed up against the glass with my feet sprawled out into the room, small room. And all of a sudden, my shirt starts to, move. Now I don't realize this at the time, obviously, but it's not my shirt moving, it's me breathing. But for whatever reason, I was so high and constantly fixated on it that any motion in my shirt, whichever way it went, made it look like a heartbeat. So I look up and my buddy starts laughing. He's staring at me and he goes, "Don't worry, man, it's just a weed, it's okay." And I go, he goes, no, I know. Your shirt's moving, right? I go, yeah. He goes, no, don't, it's not moving. I'm looking at you, you're fine, man. And don't worry, you're just paranoid. It's just you breathing. So, okay, whatever, So he passes around a couple drinks. So we start having a couple drinks. Now, I'm not getting too heavy into the drinking or anything like that because I want to see what the high is like. But we're sitting there talking and, we're going on and on, back and forth. And then finally one of the guys goes, now, you got to keep in mind, okay, this was in 1998, I think. Yeah, 1998. So the big video game at the time was 007 on Nintendo 64. Now, for those of you youngins who don't know what a Nintendo 64 is, look it up. It was awesome. I sucked horribly at this game, let alone sober, let alone under any kind of influence of anything. So, buddy stands up and he goes, "Okay, let's go downstairs and play some GoldenEye." So we go downstairs, and the 4 guys that play regularly start playing. Well, as we're sitting there, I'm getting higher and higher, and I can't, focus on one thing. I had to keep looking around the room, making sure that everybody else was still there. It was tough, man. So, anyway, then one of the guys looks at me and goes, "Hey, man, you see what he had a magazine in his hand." He goes, "Hey, man, check this out." And he starts reading the paragraph. And then all of a sudden in the middle of it, he goes, "You know what's a funny word?" It had nothing to do with anything. He goes, "Poop." I know it doesn't sound funny in this setting and with you listening to this, but at that moment, it was the funniest thing that the entire room had ever heard. And everybody just starts busting out laughing, falling down on the floor, and rolling all over themselves. Now, the best part about this whole poop situation was that because of how baked we were, anytime anybody said poop or poo, that was it. That was the rest of the night. A bunch of 17-year-olds rolling around one dude's basement, laughing our asses off, trying to play GoldenEye. Oh, yeah. And then, so after that, I decided that, hey, this might be a good time for me to showcase my excellent, GoldenEye skills. So I figured I'm going to jump in on this. So the one guy that bounces out of the game says who wants to play. So I go, you know what? I'll give it a shot. That was a bad idea, man. Because you see, what happened was I get the controller, right? The game starts up. It's in this room where there's a bunch of jail cells and then like a concrete brick wall on the other side. Now, keep in mind, I blow at this game normally. So now I can't focus on anything. Everything to me is hilarious. And the colors are way too bright to tell what is what, okay? So, again, first time smoking weed. So, I take the controller. I walk forward a couple steps. I play an entire game where I didn't come in first, but I did all right. Like to the point where I got the other guy's respect, right? Shooting people everywhere, moving through the level like I knew what the hell I was doing, like where to go, like where all the stuff was. I had no idea. That's the game I played. And then, so one of the guys that's playing nudges me, and I wake up. Yeah, that's right. I was sitting up against the wall, and as the game was counting down, 3, 2, 1, like ready to play, instead of playing, I passed out. I sat there with the controller in my hand, moving, eyes closed, head down, staring at the controller as if I was doing something. But again, eyes closed. And when I woke up, they were in the middle of the game, and I was walking into a wall, not going anywhere. And everybody just kept coming around shooting me. So yeah, so that was, that was my attempt at video games while high for the first time. And also being high for the first time. It was pretty fun. Oh, you know what was crazy about that though? Okay, so after, we get baked, whatever, we play our video games, talk our poop jokes and blah, 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 blah. Then, later on, me and a buddy of mine, one of my buddies, was staying with me. So we drive back to my parents' place. Now, my parents' place is packed with my relatives. And at this point, nobody knows that we, went out to smoke weed. They just thought we went out to hang out, whatever. So my aunts, my uncles, my grandparents, my parents, and my cousins are all there. Now, granted, when we get home, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and they were having some kind of party, so there were a couple people awake. We got to sneak in, chow down like crazy people on whatever food was sitting on the island in the kitchen. And then we booked it to the basement. We had to sleep on these 2 bunk beds that were in the basement. Now, I don't know how it worked out, but I ended up having to sleep on the top. And all I could tell you is that, again, terrifying. I'm lying on the bunk bed, and it feels like it's slanted. Like, not even that much. Like, maybe a 5 or 6 degree slant. But enough for me to not be able to sleep because I kept thinking I was going to roll off the bed. So inevitably, I hooked my arm into the bar so that I couldn't fall out of bed onto the floor, which was like 6 feet below me. Then the next day we woke up and nobody had any idea we were high. At least nobody said anything, and they still haven't said anything to this day. So I guess if they listened to this, guess what, dude? We were high. That was the first time I had ever smoked weed. And man, yeah, I was super baked. We laughed for, I don't know, a few hours at nothing. And then, yeah, one guy said poop, and that was it for like I don't know, a good 45 minutes. None of us could stop laughing. Anytime we were crying, we were laughing so hard. And then, oh, that sleep was so good though. Even though I was terrified that I was going to roll out of bed, that sleep was, oh, it was excellent. It was the best sleep I ever got, I think. Just melt into the bed comfort. Felt like you were on a cloud. So yeah, so that was my first time getting high. I had a few other times after that were kind of, wild, but that one, I think your first time is always the most memorable though, no? Like, and I don't even think, like, they say that, the first time is the time that you chase. I don't necessarily believe that, because if I get high, like, yeah, that was fun, but like, I was not in control of anything. Like, it was fun to let go, but I think now I like the ability to enjoy the high but still function. Because like I said, I don't remember what it was that we smoked. I don't know. I'm sure we didn't even have a name for it, man. I'm sure it was just some dude's backyard grown whatever, But yeah, it was a really good time. But no, I don't think that you're chasing it. I don't think you chase that original high. I think it's an enjoyable thing. It's a memorable thing. It's like the first time you have sex, man. You never forget that shit. And if you do, well, you probably shouldn't have been so drunk and high. But no, you don't chase it. I think after that you kind of settle into what it's like to be high, because it's not quite the same every time. And again, different strains do different things, but it's, yeah, it was a really fun time. There's occasions now where we smoke stuff like that, puts you in that same kind of mood. You just handle it better. Yeah, you definitely handle it better. Well, that was my first time getting high story. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope the void enjoyed the story. I didn't mean to rhyme there. It just did it itself. Also, I'm high. Leave me alone. Anyway, that's it for this episode of Thoughts Off the Stem. Join me every Friday for a new episode at 4:20. Roll them up, pack a bowl, and let's sit down, smoke, and have a chat.